Get ready, folks, because today we'll be doing a complete recap of the Mucha Lucha series. Before we get into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Let's get started.
Ricochet. Let's get it on.
For those who may not know, Mucha Lucha is an animated television series that aired from 2002 until February 26, 2005, covering 3 seasons. The show is set in the fictional Southern California town of Luchaville, a place where residents embrace the luchador lifestyle, complete with masks, costumes, signature moves, and a love for donuts. Now, this series highlights a specific style of professional wrestling known as lucha libre, or freestyle wrestling, which originated in Mexico in the early 20th century. Lucha libre is renowned for its colorful masks, distinctive characters, and dramatic wrestling moves, often featuring solo or tag team matches. In lucha libre, masks are more than just part of the attire. They symbolize the wrestler's persona, and some high-stakes matches even involve the loser having to permanently surrender their mask, signifying a loss of identity.
Minotauro. Here. La Cucaracha. Here. Dicky Tornado. Here.
The entire series focuses on a trio of young wrestlers attending the foremost world-renowned international school of lucha, the most prestigious of its kind. The trio, known as the 3 Mascaritas, include Ricochet, Buena Girl, and the Flea. Ricochet, the main character and self-proclaimed leader, wears a red and blue uniform with a star on the forehead, aspiring to become the supreme luchador. Buena Girl, the rule-abiding and intelligent wrestler, wears a white, purple, and green costume complete with a large purple ponytail. The Flea, known for his messy yet talented style, is depicted as a flea in a fuzzy brown costume, always ready to help his friends. The series also features El Rey, a talking action figure based on a fictional masked wrestler who acts as Ricochet's moral guide and often resides in his backpack. But enough of all that. Let's dive into the actual story. The series begins with Ricochet's first day at school, and he gets in trouble as he comes up against the strict bias of the headmistress. So eventually, he ends up having to face off against Potato Patata Jr. in a one-on-one challenge. But that's just the start. Ricochet sets out to battle not 1, but 3 massive wrestlers simultaneously. The issue? They're much heavier than him, making this a seemingly uneven matchup. Ricochet is not one to back down easily though. With Buena Girl and the Flea by his side and guided by El Rey's wisdom on overeating, Ricochet embarks on a mission to gain weight quickly. His efforts are successful as he wins. But these efforts were almost too successful, because he gains so much weight that he ends up in an entirely new weight class, rivaling that of planets. After some time passes by, it's father/child Lucha Day at school, and Ricochet's dad makes it just in time, sacrificing a championship match to be there. Ricochet and his friends are caught up in winning this competition happening at school, and end up losing sight of the code's core values: honor, family, tradition, and donuts. The situation shifts when the dads step in with advice, restoring perspective and making the kids realize the true values. However, this piece is short-lived as the fathers begin to bicker over who provided the best guidance. After the competition ends, classes resume back to normal, and Senor Haspina emphasizes the importance of wrestlers having a unique signature move. Everyone has their own, like Minotauro turning into a bull, but Ricochet doesn't have one. Desperate to get one, he meets a shady character to buy a move, but they get chased by the police and a circus troupe, causing mayhem everywhere, even crashing into the Lucha Dome. Unfortunately, Ricochet gets cornered, but surprisingly, he turns into a human pinball, defeating everyone. He then proceeds to call it the pulverizing pinball, and it actually becomes a hit. But sadly, the headmistress only gives it a B-. Meanwhile, the Flea and Snow Pea face off against Minotauro and Pierre de Fuego in a tag team wrestling match. Despite struggling, the Flea wins but accidentally squishes Snow Pea, leading to his confinement in the infamous Room 207, which holds all the bad guys. Just as any other true friend, Ricochet, Buena Girl, and Snow Pea get worried, so they embark on a rescue mission. Inside Room 207, the Flea, now considered a bad guy, battles various wrestlers. However, Snow Pea's hug convinces him to renounce his villainous status. In a final clash against El Kurtz, the team uses special moves to secure victory and escape, but Snoopy gets squished again in the process.
Snoopy! Has anybody seen Snoopy?
Remember how Ricochet discovered his signature move? Well, he ends up taking it to another level and does this super intense signature move and accidentally tears a hole in the space-time continuum. Now this mishap gives Senor Hasbina, the once famous wrestler, an opportunity. He travels back to the 70s to tweak history. And his plan is to win a crucial title match he originally lost, hoping to avoid becoming a washed-up has-been. But here's the thing. The kids realize this change could ruin mass wrestling's history completely. So they end up going on a mission and eventually stop him, hence keeping things as they should be. Now, on another occasion, Ricochet was practicing his moves when he accidentally turns into a pinball and can't stop bouncing, causing chaos, including destroying his school and leaving his friends vulnerable to bullies. Despite the setback, he perseveres in his wrestling match against Sonic Sumo, who uses technology to repeatedly knock him out. So, stuck in his pinball form, Ricochet is expelled and faces various misadventures like nearly being hit by a truck and getting buried in mud. That's when he meets El Portero, a soccer ball who inspires him not to give up. Returning to help his friends defeat the bullies, Ricochet faces another challenge when Sonic Sumo disables his pinball form. In the end, Snoopy helps them and El Portero finds new hope on a beach with a girl. Back at the foremost world-renowned International School of Lucha, a series of mysterious expulsions start to unfold. Students like Snoopy and Minotauro get expelled for mischievous acts they didn't commit. But the situation ends up escalating even further when Buena Girl is wrongly expelled for mocking the headmistress. So, suspecting an imposter, Buena Girl and the Flea discover a bag of masks and review surveillance tapes to uncover the truth. Their investigation leads them to expose Timmy of 1,000 Masks as the culprit, who's been disguising himself as other students to cause trouble. So, after confronting him, Timmy finally confesses and is expelled, ending his reign of chaos at the school. Then on one fine day, Ricochet ends up with a rare El Rey trading card, but it's not exactly his. He's torn about whether to keep it or return it to its owner, Minotauro. After an internal debate with his good and bad sides, he decides to keep it, but then things get weird. He has a dream where a ghost shows him the terrible consequences of his actions, like his mom in court and his friends suffering. It's all because he didn't do the right thing. So, in the end, he wakes up, realizes it was just a dream, and decides to return the card. But here's the best part. Minotauro lets him keep it because he's got a complete set already. And then the day wraps up with the ghost off to stop someone else from causing trouble. In the final episode of the first season, everything seems to quiet down, but out of nowhere, Ricochet and Buena Girl end up on an uncharted island while trying to save the Flea. That's when things get really out of hand. Both of them became slightly unhinged as Ricochet began talking to himself, and Buena Girl thought the code of mass wrestling was actually speaking to her. They even ended up having an entire war between them, but no worries, the Flea managed to calm things down peacefully. And after all that, they finally made it back home by flying a kite. Now, this brings us on to Season 2, where Ricochet and his friends visit his wrestler dad, Lone Star, in another town. That's when Ricochet is mistakenly thought to be Lone Star, and he rolls with it, enjoying all the perks like a free buffet. However, he gets challenged to a match by a tough wrestler, El Pared. When the real Lone Star shows up, Ricochet decides to own up to his actions and faces El Pared himself. Despite a rough start, Ricochet uses a special move to win and learns a valuable lesson about honesty and what it means to hold up the core values that truly matter. And after this realization, El Gundamo tells the Mascaritas about a giant sushi monster in Tokyo. So they decide to join him in his fight. When they reach the city, Gundamo flees in an attempt to distract the monsters, leaving the Mascaritas to handle the chaos. So they quickly adapt and create a unique tag team move to combat the monsters, including the Flea's hilarious fart attack, Buena Girl's mallet, and a spinning top technique, successfully driving the monsters back to the sea. Meanwhile, El Gundamo secretly battles enormous eels. At the Monster Warden's HQ, they meet Kyoto, a powerful pink bunny who can levitate objects. However, their meeting is interrupted by an attack from King Prawn, who manages to capture Ricochet and Buena Girl. During this chaos, El Gundamo chooses to hide instead of fighting, But the Flea, boosted by a high energy drink, and Gundamo realizing his team needs him, join forces. Gundamo's powerful Tsunami Slam move plays a crucial role in defeating King Prawn, and the day concludes with the team celebrating their victory with donuts. However, their joy is short-lived as they encounter a giant jelly donut monster. But hey, the Flea eagerly volunteers to take on this foe, because it's a donut after all.
Feels the ultimate truth. And they taste good too. Comemos!
When the Mascaritas return home, Kid Wombat Jr., a new student from Australia, starts shaking things up at school. Now this new kid is so good, he's threatening Ricochet's top spot as the future Luchador Supreme. Now Ricochet tries to show him around, and they do check out some cool stuff like mask buffing and yell classes, but here's the thing. Wombat Jr. starts outshining Ricochet at everything, lifting mariachi bands and all. He also starts beating everyone in matches, using slick moves like Tramp on the Barbie and Sizzling Snag of Surrender. But wait, there's a catch. Buena Girl discovers Wombat Jr. is too old to be a student. So in the final showdown, Ricochet pulls off this amazing clobbering catapult of catastrophe move. Wombat Jr. tries to counter, but Ricochet turning into a boomerang takes him down. And just like that, Ricochet wins, and Wombat Jr., despite all his skills, gets expelled for being overage. In the final season, our gang ends up at the center of an intense showdown for the most dominant species belt between two teams, Los Mamíferos and Los Insectos. Los Insectos initially wins, but their victory is short-lived as the Black Widower swoops in, steals the belt, and threatens them. So, the Flea, El Loco Mosquito, and Dragonfly travel into the dreaded Spider Hole to retrieve the belt and avoid expulsion from their headmistress, who's being distracted by Ricochet and Buena Girl. They end up succeeding and uncover that the Black Widower is actually the defeated wrestlers in disguise. Meanwhile, Penny, frustrated with being only smart and not strong, attempts to create a formula to enhance her abilities. However, an accident in the lab transforms her into a monstrous version of herself. In a twist, the Flea, Ricochet, and Buena Girl dive into her psyche, assisting her in overcoming the monster. And finally, Penny cleverly uses her intellect to win, proving that brains can be just as powerful as brawn.
The last pages? No, it can't be. It's miss.
After a while, we see Parasalva and Ratman daring each other in a matchup, where Ratman comes out on top. Following this, Cindy Slam and Ricochet engage in some trash talk, which escalates to a high-stakes lucha match involving dangerous elements like piranhas and man-eating clowns. The match is intense and perilous, with both wrestlers almost falling to their doom. However, they unite to combat a giant octopus, leading to a moment of apology and teamwork that enables them to triumph together in the match. But on the other hand, the Flea confidently believes he can outmatch gorillas, and surprisingly, as luck would have it, he is accidentally mistaken for a monkey by a zoo employee and ends up in a gorilla cage. Initially threatened by the gorillas, he unexpectedly becomes their king, so Ricochet and Buena Girl attempt to rescue him by challenging him to a match. Buena Girl triumphs, becoming the Monkey Queen, but their celebration is short-lived as they are all ejected from the cage. And finally, it's time for Christmas. Rudo Claus, who's the evil twin of Santa Claus, along with his team of chupacabras, plots to disrupt Christmas by rewarding only the naughty with gifts. Amidst this chaos, Buena Girl, suffering from pink eye contracted from a chupacabra allied with Rudo Claus, rises as the sole hope to save Christmas. With the help of other luchadors, she goes on a mission to rescue Santa Claus, and ultimately restores the true spirit of the holiday season. But that's not all. The Mascaritas also join forces with famed Mexican wrestler Blue Demon Jr. to save a town from a vampire onslaught. The story continues with the movie, where an impending evil looms over the galaxy, embodied by the villain El Malefico, who is trying to seek the aid of luchadors to open a portal between worlds. Meanwhile, Ricochet, Buena Girl, and the Flea, while organizing a party in the absence of their parents, inadvertently play a part in freeing El Malefico. Once free, El Malefico begins capturing the souls of adult luchadors for power, setting up his base in Las Vegas. Ricochet then learns from his parents in a dream about a Mexican wrestler, El Silver Mask Jr., who holds key artifacts to defeat Malefico. So the trio heads to Mexico City, where after a misunderstanding leads to a wrestling match, they team up with El Silver Mask Jr. They split to gather these artifacts, overcoming various challenges. Finally, they confront Malefico in Las Vegas, using the artifacts to increase their size. They defeat Malefico and free the captured luchadors. Ricochet then goes ahead and unmasks Malefico, who turns out to be Jenny Perkins from 13932 Jefferson Way. But hey, the luchadors are free again, as they continue their wrestling journey, facing new challenges and matches in the ring each day. And that's all for today, folks. Remember to hit that like button, and for more amazing content, click on the video being shown on your screen right now.